Okay, so in inferential statistics, one of the most important first questions to ask when you're testing a new treatment or intervention or for a difference between two groups is there an effect or is there a difference? It's a yes/no question, and that's a statistical significance issue. It's basically, is your p-value lower than your alpha level? You can think of it as the limbo, kind of the p-value is trying to get below that alpha level. The p-value low, the null must go. In other words, rejecting the null hypothesis is the same as statistical significance. So it's a pretty quick decision to make. And then the next question, which we really want to hit this week, is practical significance. If you only have a p-value, you only have statistical significance, you really haven't answered the most important questions. So whenever you report a p-value, you also want to report some kind of practical significance. And that could be an effect size, like how big the effect is, or it might be more rationale for why this really is important. But that practical significance is very important. And they're two separate things. So you could have a really, really low p-value, 0.00001, something like that, that's way below that 0.05. That does give you more convincing evidence that there's statistical significance, even though that's a yes or no question. It makes us more sure about that yes or no. But that's different than saying that there's a large effect size. The two are completely separate, and it's important to note that because with money, we say you can buy statistical significance by you get more participants in your study, you get a bigger sample size, and that will in general tend to lower the p-value in on all else being the same. But you can't buy effect size or you can't buy practical significance. So just because you have a really low p-value, it might mean that you're pretty sure there is an effect. It doesn't necessarily mean that that effect is much stronger than a p-value of, say, zero point zero 0.03 or zero point zero 0.04. So as we'll get into this week, the p-value tends to be pretty controversial, mostly because of that fact that you can buy it, but then also some other issues like publisher bias and things like that. So there's a lot of critique against the p-value, and in the discussion, you'll even see an example where a journal has refused to publish any p-values anymore. So there's a lot of pushback. Even the head of the American Statistical Association did an entire conference on what do we do about the p-value? Do we somehow, in itself, it's not wrong, but there's growing feeling that it's not enough. You really need that practical significance element in order to have really helpful, useful research. And so that's some of the issues that we'll dig into this week.